Have you ever found yourself standing in the dark at 2 in the morning, wondering why your bladder just won't let you rest? You fall back into bed, only to wake again an hour later. Same urge, same frustration. Most men assume it's just what happens with age. But what if I told you? It's not your age at all. What if your body is quietly warning you that your prostate is under pressure and that something you're doing every single day is making it worse? I've seen this pattern in so many men, strong, healthy, active, until these nightly interruptions slowly take over their lives. They feel embarrassed, tired, even a little scared to admit how much it's affecting them. But here's the truth, most never hear. Your prostate doesn't just enlarge overnight. It reacts to the small repeated stresses you place on it often without realizing. And the good news, once you understand what those hidden habits are, you can turn things around naturally, gently, without medication or surgery. I've watched men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s reclaim their nights and confidence again. So before you scroll away, stay with me for the next few minutes, because the first habit I'm about to reveal is one almost every man is guilty of, and it might just be the reason you're still waking up at night. When I talk with my male patients about their nightly struggles, most of them confess something that sounds harmless at first. I usually hold it until I get home. They say it casually, almost proudly, as if endurance is a sign of strength. But what they don't realize is that this small act of discipline slowly turns against them. The longer you hold your urine, the more pressure you create, not just in your bladder, but directly on the prostate that sits right beneath it, like a cushion under a heavy stone. Inside your pelvis, every structure is connected. When the bladder stretches beyond its normal limit, it presses downward into the prostate. That pressure irritates the gland's soft tissue, and over time, constant irritation leads to swelling. It's not immediate. It happens quietly, cell by cell, until one day, the once flexible ring of tissue around your urethra starts to tighten like a noose. That's when men begin to notice the dribbling, the hesitation, the midnight trips that never seem to end. Think of it this way. Your bladder is like a balloon designed to inflate and release with ease. But if you keep forcing it to hold more than it should day after day, the muscle fibers stretch beyond repair. And unlike a balloon, your bladder doesn't pop, it compensates. It pushes harder, it thickens, it strains. The result is a constant downward force that your prostate absorbs, leading to chronic inflammation. What studies from the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases call bladder outlet obstruction a key trigger behind benign prostate enlargement. I've seen this story repeat itself hundreds of times. Men who drive long hours, men who work on construction sites or in offices where they just finish the task first. They wait, they ignore, and eventually their body stops whispering and starts shouting. The flow weakens, the pressure builds, and the nights become restless. Here's the good news: this damage isn't permanent if you act early. When you respond to your body's first signal instead of its scream, you release the tension before it spirals. Go when you feel the urge, not when it becomes urgent. It sounds simple, but it's a quiet act of respect toward your own body. Your prostate thrives when the pressure around it is stable, when it isn't being squeezed by an overfilled bladder every few hours. Many of my older patients tell me, I just didn't want to use public restrooms. And I get it. But your body doesn't wait for convenience, it waits for care. When you start honoring that small need, your bladder and prostate find their natural rhythm again. The urgency softens, the stream improves, and that nagging sense of discomfort fades little by little. Now, before you think this is the only hidden habit causing your prostate to swell, wait, because the next one might surprise you even more. It has nothing to do with urination at all. Yet it puts constant pressure on the same area every single day. And it's one of the most overlooked reasons older men struggle with prostate inflammation. What most men never expect is that the next culprit has nothing to do with your bladder at all. It starts in your gut. After years of seeing patients, I can tell you this with certainty: if your bowels aren't moving, your prostate isn't happy. When stool builds up inside the colon, it doesn't just sit there quietly. It expands like a packed suitcase, pressing on everything around it, and your prostate happens to live right next door. That constant pressure is like having a brick resting against a sponge all day, every day. The result: swelling. Poor circulation and inflammation that spreads through the entire pelvic area. Over time, that low-grade irritation becomes one of the most common drivers of prostate enlargement, something research from the Journal of Urology has confirmed again and again. I've had countless men tell me they hadn't noticed their constipation until they started connecting the dots. Hard stools, bloating, straining, and suddenly worsening urinary symptoms. It's a domino effect. Constipation pushes on the prostate. Inflammation grows, the prostate swells, the urethra narrows, urination becomes even harder. And the cruel irony is that as men strain to empty their bowels, they actually increase pelvic pressure, making the problem worse. Why does this happen so often? Because modern diets for older adults are stacked with refined carbs, processed foods, cheese, and red meat, but dangerously low in fiber and water. When fiber is missing, or a digestive tract slows down like traffic at rush hour, waste stays longer, toxins build up, and the bacterial balance inside your gut, the microbiome that protects your immune and hormonal systems, starts to fall apart. And when your gut is inflamed, your prostate feels it too. The body doesn't separate its systems, it communicates inflammation across them. Now, here's the hopeful part. This is one of the easiest habits to fix. Small, consistent changes can completely reset the cycle. I often tell my patients to think of fiber as a soft brush for the inside of your colon. It sweeps, cleans, and clears the path. Add cooked vegetables, pears, prunes, oats, chia seeds, or ground flax. Drink enough water to keep that fiber moving. Within weeks, most men notice their digestion smooth out, their stomachs relax, and almost miraculously, the pressure on their prostate begins to ease. And there's something even deeper that happens when your bowels flow naturally. Blood flow in the pelvis improves, oxygen returns to the tissue, and inflammation begins to fade. It's not magic, it's biology. Your prostate finally gets to breathe again. So if you've been blaming your bladder while ignoring your gut, this might be the missing piece you never saw coming. But don't go anywhere yet, because the next habit is a silent killer of circulation. It doesn't involve food or bathroom routines at all. It's something we all do every single day, often for hours, without realizing it's quietly starving the prostate of life. And once you hear what it is, you'll never sit the same way again. The moment I mention this next habit, most men laugh and say, "Come on, sit in, can't be that bad." And yet, it's one of the quietest, deadliest traps I see every day. After decades of practice, I can tell you this: your prostate hates stillness. Let's connect it to what we just discussed. When your gut is stagnant, your prostate feels the pressure. But when your entire body becomes still, when you spend hours sitting in a chair, driving, or watching TV, the blood that should be flowing freely through your pelvis begins to slow down like water in a clogged pipe. The tissues around the prostate depend on that circulation to deliver oxygen and remove waste. Without it, inflammation has nowhere to go. It lingers, it thickens the tissue. It's like turning your pelvis into a small, quiet traffic jam of toxins. In one 2023 Harvard Health Review, researchers found that men who sit for more than 6 hours a day are up to 30% more likely to develop symptoms of prostate enlargement compared to those who stay moderately active. Why? Because the prostate is a living organ. It breathes through blood flow. When you stop moving, that flow fades, and so does its vitality. I've seen it countless times. A retired engineer who spends his mornings in front of the TV and his afternoons in the same armchair, or an office worker who hardly stands up between Zoom meetings. They tell me their lower back feels tight, their hips stiff, and then slowly the urinary symptoms creep in. Weak stream, incomplete emptying, nighttime trips. It's not coincidence, it's circulation, or rather, the lack of it. Here's how I explain it to my patients. Imagine your prostate as a sponge soaked in water. When you move, walk, stretch, breathe deeply, it's like gently squeezing and releasing that sponge, keeping it fresh, nourished, and alive. But when you sit for hours motionless, that sponge stiffens. The waste stays trapped, the cells suffocate, and inflammation grows quietly beneath the surface. Now, you don't need to become a marathon runner to fix this. What your prostate needs isn't intensity, it's rhythm. I call them movement snacks, tiny bursts of motion every 30 to 40 minutes. Stand up, walk across the room, rotate your hips, or just stretch your spine. Even these small moments wake up blood flow in the pelvis, helping your prostate breathe again. Studies from the British Journal of Sports Medicine show that just 2 minutes of light movement every half hour can offset hours of sitting. And something beautiful happens when men start doing this consistently. Their energy rises, their sleep deepens, their trips to the bathroom drop. The body begins to remember how to circulate again. It's like giving your prostate a second wind without pills, without procedures, just by honoring the motion it was designed for. So the next time you're tempted to sit through an entire afternoon without moving, remember this, your prostate doesn't thrive on comfort, it thrives on flow. A few mindful movements could be the difference between living in quiet frustration and finally feeling balanced again. But before we close, there's one truth I want every man to understand, one final realization that ties all of this together. Because these 3 habits, holding your urine, ignoring constipation, and sitting too long, aren't just bad luck. They're signals. And when you learn to listen to what your body's been trying to say all along, that's when real healing begins. So now you know the 3 quiet habits that slowly push your prostate out of balance, holding your urine too long, ignoring constipation, and sitting for hours without moving. None of these happen overnight. They build quietly year after year until your body finally speaks up through those sleepless nights, weak streams, or constant urgency. But the beautiful part is this, just as these habits created the problem, changing them can begin to heal it. I've seen men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s turn their symptoms around by making these small shifts, listening to their body's signals, moving more, eating smarter, and giving their prostate the space to breathe again. Your body isn't broken. It's just been asking for balance, and the moment you give it, that healing begins from the inside out. If you've been feeling frustrated or afraid, please remember you're not alone. Every man faces moments when his body feels unfamiliar, but the truth is, your health story isn't written in stone. You can rewrite it one habit, one mindful choice at a time. And if this video helped you understand your body a little better, save it, share it with a friend, and make sure you subscribe to stay connected. I share practical, science-based tips every week to help you protect your prostate, boost your vitality, and age with confidence. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What small change are you going to start today? Let me know in the comments below. Because sometimes one small action shared can inspire 1,000 others to do the same. Thank you for watching. And remember, Your best years aren't behind you. They're waiting for you to take charge of your health starting right now.